Hello. Happy Friday. Does anybody know that it's Friday? It's very odd. I'm used to being home all the time and I'm starting to lose track of the days, but I'm gonna light a little incense. This is who I get mine from. Juniper Ridge. They do some wild crafted incense out of California. Cedar is a good one right now. It's very clearing, but it also supports us and our respiratory systems. Hey, Ari. Just giving people a minute to hop on. Here, everybody have a little incense. Hello, everybody that's joining us. You guys all had so many good questions. I've got piles of things. I've got a page of notes. I've got a book to recommend. I've got oils. I've got notes. I have so much for you. Hey, Charlotte. We'll just give people a minute to hop on and then we'll get started. I have this, I put it on Instagram yesterday. Hey Danny, this June tea, it's made here locally by somebody, but it's blue because of the algae. So it's really tasty. And I think these June teas, it's kind of like a cross between kombucha. Let's see. It has green tea and raw honey. And then this particular one has lion's mane, mushroom, blue algae, spearmint, and peppermint. It's tasty. Yeah, it is good. Hello everybody that's joining. I've got some sacred frankincense today, which I love for channeling. Ooh, okay. Well, I just thought I would hop on today because you all had so many awesome questions when I asked what I could support you with right now. And I wasn't intending necessarily to get on and answer questions today, but once I saw a lot of the questions, I was like, I can answer these. These are these are things that don't take a lot of extra effort for me to put together, but I do want to work on some additional resources. So if you have other questions or thoughts, feel free to send them my way, because I will try and work on things that are the most helpful and useful for everybody now. I'm sure you're all feeling it, because I'm feeling it. It's just the amount of information that's out in the world is overwhelming. And I'm having to unplug from social media for chunks of the day. When I don't do it, it just won't work. I haven't been able to upload Instagram video stories all week. And I've turned my phone off and on a million times. It won't work. And I can't really watch them much either. They just get frozen. So when that happens, I'm just well, I'm not supposed to be on Instagram right now. I'm supposed to be doing something else. Hey, Rianne. So that's, a big piece of what I've been doing is really kind of trying to listen internally to what the message is. I've been trying not to just add more, for lack of a better term, noise, just more chatter. The reality is there are a million resources out there right now. And if any of us are needing resources, there's lots out there to be had. But I know that there are unique needs to kind of all of us that are doing this work with the earth and with nature. And so I really wanted to check in and see how I could support you instead of just making it up as I go along. So thank you for putting your questions in there. Yeah, I'm missing everybody on Instagram too. It's so weird. Hey Stacy, hey Jackie, hey everybody, thank you for joining. And so first things first, and this is kind of funny, my guides are telling me to pull a card. And what do I do with my cards? I have cards, I use them on occasion, but I am not a big card person. I don't have any opinion about it one way or the other. It's just, I don't tend to work with them all that much. And I kept hearing, pull a card, pull a card, pull a card. And so what's funny is that I tend to do, regardless, intuitive readings, whatnot, I tend to do them really privately by myself because of kind of how the information comes in, how I process it. And frankly, it would just be boring for you to sit there while I'm like thinking, writing, figuring pieces out. And so it's easier for me to do it and then come back and share the details, which is usually when I'm sharing things, why you guys get like, oh, this is the whole message that I channeled, because it's already done. I sit down and do it kind of quietly. So my guess is either my guides just really want me to practice doing this live, which is possible, so thanks for letting me practice, or there's a specific message that just needs to come through. So I'm using these Enchanted Blossoms cards, which you guys have probably seen me use a few times lately. I got them in the last couple of months and I just really like them. So they have butterflies that are dragons and then plants, each one. So hi Sheila, hi Helen. Okay, so I'm going to shuffle the cards. Actually, I'll show you some of what they look like here. Kind of hard to see, but there are all these different plants, very spring-like actually, with the flowers and the butterflies. So let's pull a card to start with. I'm just asking for all of us who are gathered here, either live or watching this in the future, what message we most need at the moment. And if anybody's kind of new to working with cards, well, and again, this isn't my expertise, but I usually shuffle them a few times, and then usually in my head, I hear like when to stop or how. Sometimes they'll tell me specifically, like shuffle 3 times, or do it this way. Sometimes they ask me to cut the deck. Sometimes they want me to like spread them out. So just kind of like feel into your intuition if you're working with cards as to what you should do. But right now I feel like cut the deck and take the one off the top. Let's see what we got. Oh, love. How appropriate. And it's got a lilac and veined J is the butterfly. And there's also a dragon on there. And I'll tell you what it says, if I can find what I did with the book. And then I'll tell you what I receive outside of that. So it says, the beauty and intoxicating scent of lilac has appealed to humans for thousands of years. In Greek mythology, Pan used the hollow reeds of a lilac bush to create the first Pan pipe, not realizing the shrub was the nymph, Syringa, whom he had been chasing. In Russia, holding a lilac sprig over a newborn baby is said to bring wisdom. Lilacs have been featured in the paintings of some of the most famous impressionists of the 20th century. The scent of the lilac is a primary reason it was carried across lands. It remains a popular fragrance for our bodies and homes, with shampoos, candles, soaps, and more enveloping us with the scent of lilac. When this card makes an appearance, it's a reminder not only to delight in others, but to love yourself as well. Adore who you are and what you do. Make sure your actions and thoughts are aligned with love and affection, and it will grow. You do not stumble upon self-love. It's something you cultivate and practice daily. Use only kind words when you talk and think to yourself. Pamper yourself, take yourself out on a date, or stay home with yourself. Or schedule some time just for you to do something you enjoy. Devoting time and care to yourself means you will have plenty of love to give and the ability to receive as well. And the question is, how can I better love myself and those around me? So let me tune in for a moment on any additional messages. Sorry, I see more comments coming in here too. So I'm definitely getting a message with the lilac, especially, you know, they're already starting to bloom in so many parts of the country or the world right now. They're not blooming here yet, but it is a very popular flower here where I live as well. And it feels like an emergence for us right now that they're, although we are still within in our homes, but we are emerging, and we are emerging on this frequency of love and this vibration of love. And it's almost like this is the time, this is when we're going inside, this is when we're making our shift. And so it is like the butterfly and the chrysalis, like that's kind of what I'm seeing. So we're in this moment of transformation right now, and when we emerge, when we bloom, when we come out from our homes, we'll be on this new frequency and this new vibration of love, which really, I always get this backwards, is the message I've been hearing since all of this really started, you know, in the last month or two, is to stay on this vibration of love. And so that's what's coming through to me most strongly at the moment. And I'm seeing all of your messages here too. Lots of different people being called to use cards. Yeah, Danny says when she lived in Montana, there were huge bushes. Yeah, they're all over. And they're not in well, I mean, maybe they're in California. I never remember seeing them in California when I lived there. So, oh, Ari says they bloom very short period of time, late March and early April. So right now, and I'm definitely seeing that in my feed as well. So let the lilacs, when you see them start to bloom, especially, remind you of this vibration of love and remind you to come back to that. And yeah, if anybody else, feel free to share in the comments if you have more to add to that. Get a sip of my tea here. Okay, so I was trying to kind of figure out where to start, what we should, how do we cover all of these topics? Because there's a lot going on in the collective, as we're all experiencing and feeling. There's a lot going on with ourselves and our own feelings at the current moment. And then we have all this kind of big esoteric stuff about what's happening with the world, what's happening with the earth, what changes are going on. And it can be hard when you're in a place of just trying to feel safe and secure in your own energy to even think about kind of the big picture. But let me share a little bit about kind of what has been happening here that I'm aware of, what I'm picking up on the kind of bigger energy, and then we can kind of dive into some of the specifics and answering some of the specific questions that some of you had. So if you're not aware, there are 7 portals here on the land where I live. And on the equinox, which was only two weeks ago today, I was asked to help basically guide in a new timeline to each portal. And really the way timelines work is well, timelines are like all of the different options, you know, right? Like there's one timeline if you turn left at the stop sign, and there's another timeline if you turn right. Timelines are infinite, and we have lots and lots of different options within the timelines. But primary timelines are like the big picture, kind of what we live within in a day-to-day basis. And so we've been living in this primary timeline called 3D for a really, really long time. And a lot of it's been locked down and closed off so that there weren't a lot of kind of side branches to get off of. We all kind of had to live in this very structured environment. And so as collective consciousness has been changing, it allows new primary timelines to come in. And so I believe, and I sent an email about this, I think earlier this week or last week, that either on the 1st, probably on the 12th of January, the big conjunction that we had, a big new timeline came in. Collective consciousness raised to a vibration that made that possible. And so now, the last couple of months, we're trying to figure out what that means. What does that feel like? It feels totally different. And so what happened on the equinox is I think some of these smaller timelines are starting to anchor in now that go within this big one. And it's happening all over the world. It's not just happening here. But because of the energy that is happening on the land here, it makes it possible to bring in these new timelines. So since that happened, it has been crazy busy on the land here. And I know quite a few of you have either, if you have done a meditation with one of the portals in the past, it's likely it came to you in some way in the last 2 weeks and either got your attention to journey with it again, sent you a message. I've heard from lots of people that they are connecting in again with the energies of the portals. And what's happening is when you come here, and you're welcome to come here, I have 2 meditations with the portals on my YouTube. When you get here, you will probably feel a whole lot more energy going on and a whole lot more activity than there has been if you were here before the equinox. So if you have that to compare to. So as far as I can understand, these new timelines came in and it opened up all new energies to be able to flow in and come into the area. And in fact, a couple weeks ago, I was out kind of walking around, checking things out just physically from portal to portal. And I realized I was being escorted by 2 Bigfoot guides, one on either side of me. And I was like, ooh, why do I need an escort? Like, I walk around here all the time. And they were like, oh, we just want to introduce you to all new beings and all, like, they wanted to tell the beings, like, she's the one that lives here. And so, like, she's okay. They were kind of vouching for me, which was kind of funny, but great. Awesome. So almost everybody who has journeyed here in the last 2 weeks has said that they have been greeted by one of the Bigfoots. They seem to be kind of like the ground crew managing everything. So you will likely see them if you journey here. And it feels to me like there is a very big construction project going on. It's a lot of, like, you know, for lack of a better term, hammering and sawing, because they're not hammering and sawing, but it like feels that way. It feels like they're building the new earth and they're doing it. What they showed me this morning is like, this is just what's happening here is just linking up to different places all over the globe, all over the grid. And so some of the people who have journeyed here and connected, they're getting messages to connect portals here to portals in other locations. There is a lot happening right now. And that being said, it's very much happening on this other plane. And over the last couple of days, myself and a few other people who have been doing work here, I've definitely gotten the picture of, like, just stay out of the way. We're doing our thing now. We're busy, and we don't need you to do anything. And so there are some little kind of chores here and there that they're asking for, but for the most part, they're very busy in their world. And when we step into it, it's almost like we're the spirit coming into their world. Like, they see us as just like, oh, look, there's that spirit over there. Who wants to go talk to her? And that's kind of making it simplistic, but it does underscore, like, how we're all living kind of together in these different dimensions. And so we might see them as spirits, but then they kind of see us in that same way. And so when I tuned in earlier today to say, okay, what do you want to tell me about all this construction that's going on? What's happening? What's going on? They were kind of like, oh, like, she's showing up at our job when we're so busy asking so many questions. So I, at this point, I'm just kind of letting them do their thing. I do think that tomorrow is a very big, it's another big planetary alignment. And it feels to me like we're going to make another big energetic jump. So if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling a lot of energy, if you're feeling, weird sensations in your body, whatever, it's all going to be related to what's happening over the weekend. So you've probably seen all over the internet, there's a call for like a massive, like 1 million meditators at the exact time of the conjunction tomorrow night, which is, I think, 10:45 Eastern time, US. So it's on the 5th in some parts of the world, and on the 4th in other parts of the country because it's so late at night. So if you have the ability to tune in tomorrow night, what the message that I did get this morning was that what we can do to help is to increase and raise our own vibration. And by doing that, again, like I said, every time the collective consciousness raises, they showed me it's like a window opens and they can dive in and do some work. Like we're all at the right spot for them to come in. So we can draw this out, and by we I mean like the collective we, everybody in the world. So we can draw this out, and it could take them a lot longer, or we can focus our efforts and our energies, and that's on our own selves, in raising our own vibrations. And when the more people that do that, the more it like opens a wider window for them to come in. And so, hold on, what did they say? I wrote it down. It was kind of funny. Yeah, they just said the more you can hold the vision, the faster and the easier it is for us. So, especially for all, I saw a lot of questions about like, what can we do right now to help the earth? And so the earth is doing its work first. The earth is ascending, the grids are realigning, the crystalline grid is doing whatever the crystalline grid is doing. All of these things are happening. And in doing that, it's like, it's going to push us on our kind of ascension journey. And so on the one hand, we don't necessarily have to quote unquote help the earth, but in working on our own vibration, do our own healing, our own clearing, that's going to help everything go faster. And they showed it to me like, if you were a kid and you had to go get a shot and you were like so worried about it and building it up in your head and thinking about how awful it was going to be and not wanting to do it and whatever, and then you have one of those doctors, it's like, oh, look, what's that over there? And you look and they give you the shot and it's all over. Like, that was kind of the picture they were showing me. Like, just work on your vibration, and before you know it, it's going to be over. Like, you could make this longer and harder, or you can just make it easy. So, regardless, again, this is collective. It's not going to just happen tomorrow, but tomorrow we're going to have an option to kind of, jump and level up again. And so absolutely, if you can, tune in and meditate. Even if you can't do it that exact time, you can focus on you being in that now moment, even if you're not in that now moment. It's just that in that moment, there will be so many people meditating, it'll be easier to amplify the vibration, if that makes sense. So, okay, what else about portals? I'm trying to think of what else is happening. That's kind of the big picture, what's happening in the world. I did see, I think Sheila asked about how do you, if you have a portal on your property. I have a very long blog post about portals on my website. If you go to followinghawks.com and just search portals, you'll find a few things. I also have a guidebook on like opening, closing, working with portals. And that's linked in that blog post if you're interested. Portals, it would be a lot to get into right now. I'm trying to think of the shortest way to say it. But the more that I work with these portals, the more it's becoming clear to me that part of why they have opened up here is because the energy allowed for it. Because of the work I've been doing here, because of all the work communicating with the spirits of the land, making things comfortable, kind of setting boundaries, creating protection, all of those things have allowed portals to kind of anchor in and open up. And so they could move somewhere or close or not be here if it didn't work with the energies here. That being said, there were spots on the land that I felt very connected to, and I definitely would go and stand in them. I'm like, there's something happening here, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And those ended up being the locations for the portals. So tune into the energy really what it was once they were ready to open is I heard the message and was shown physically what to do to open them. And that's all in that blog post. So go check it out. Yeah, let's see. I'm seeing lots of things about ears plugged, constant ringing today, sitting on the earth to ground. Yeah, I felt a lot of the antsy energy too. A lot. Where I can't sit still or have to go. I've also realized I can't I can't skip a day for a walk right now. It's just, I did the other day when it was snowing and it was so cold, and then my body just hurt the whole evening, and yeah, I just felt really antsy. So definitely, as much as you can, kind of like get that energy out. Dancing, if you can't go outside, dancing is a good way to do that. Um, yeah, grounding your energy, all of those things. So that's the big picture. I tried to ask a little more about the virus. I'm just not getting a lot about it right now, honestly. I think it's playing out however it's going to play out. I think we can each do our part to help with that. How much it's intertwined with kind of what's happening. I mean, I think it really, my sense really is that this is forcing us to go within. This is forcing us to look at our own lives, our own personal situation, and say, is there anything that's not working for me right now? And am I to a point where I have to do something about it? And those are the things, like, that's how we heal. That's how we release things that that aren't serving us anymore. Release the energies or the work that or do the work that we need to do on ourselves. That being said, and I mean, obviously we've probably seen these messages all over social media. We can only do what we can do right now. So take it easy on yourself. And that was actually one of the messages, sorry, I forgot that part, that I got this morning when asking about the portals, is that when they're talking about what can we do as far as working on our vibration, they're really showing it like, we need to be able to anchor and hold this new level of light and this new frequency, or the love frequency that came from the card. We have to be able to hold that. And that's new for us, to hold it at these higher levels for an extended period of time. So what they said is, sometimes all you can do is rest. Sometimes all you can do is nothing. Because what you're doing when you're resting is getting accustomed, feeling into those new energies, and getting comfortable with how it feels. And I've definitely felt that the past week for sure. I feel like I don't have a lot of energy to do a lot of things. Like, I can do 1 or 2 kind of projects or work things a day, and then I'm like, I'm done. I just don't have the energy to do any more. And I don't necessarily feel like completely exhausted, but I don't feel like I have the mental power, and it's just a challenge. Now, obviously, I'm not stuck at home with little kids, and so I know a lot of you are just trying to hold it together, like still working your full-time job, taking care of your kids, figuring out how to feed everybody 3 meals a day, and that's a lot. That's all you can do right now, and that is totally fine. Wherever you are, however you're feeling, that honor that and stay there, because there will always be time to work with whatever we need to work with. But if you're feeling and hearing like you need to go within and you need to rest, to the extent that you can do that, honor that request, because it's help you anchor in these energies. So let me see. Diane says, they want us out of the way while they do their thing. Do you think this has a lot to do with the isolation the world is going through at the moment? Yeah, absolutely. I think it's all related. I was kind of trying to connect, like, specifically the virus, and I don't think that I even really got those messages, but absolutely the way this is all playing out is pushing us to isolate and to go within, and in a way that we just wouldn't have done. It's easy to keep our routines up, and it's really difficult to just say, I'm not going to leave my house for a month. And so we've just been given the gift, even if it doesn't feel that way, to just stay still, stay calm, go within, hear our own messages, do all of that. So yeah, Ari says, sometimes it's harder to relax and not do anything. There is no easy fix. We just have to be easy on ourselves. And it's so true. It's so, so true. And it's the hardest thing for us to do. And I feel the same way. I mean, even, like I say, I'm annoyed that I can't, like, get on Instagram stories. But, like, the message is, not now. Not now. Just lay on the couch. Do nothing. Read your book. Whatever. Just chill out. So we have to honor that as much as we can. So let me get into some of I know some of that touched on some of the questions that you all had, but let me get into some of the specifics. And I want to start with the basics as far as, like, if you are feeling like it is all too much right now, right? You are getting all the collective energy, you have your own energy, there are things happening everywhere, and it's horrible if you're there right now. Let's start with some of the things you can do about that, because, and I will say that I'm going back and forth between it. It took me a week or two. I feel a little more like even keel now, but it took me a week or two to kind of figure out like, oh, I've got to work harder at this. Frankly, like there's just a lot going on, and my normal regular routine is not going to cut it. And so step one is really like, you've got to be conscious of the fact that you have to do something. It's not going to just happen all on its own. And so they aren't things that take a lot of time, but they might take a few minutes every day. And it's literally like taking a shower or taking a bath. I mean, if you just didn't take a bath every day and kept saying, I smell really bad, and that is annoying, but you didn't take a bath, the next day you're like, wow, I smell even worse. Like, until you take a bath, it's not going to resolve the problem. And so, energy hygiene is the same thing. If you are taking care of your energy every single day, then it won't take that long and there won't be all that much work to do. But if you wait for a long period until it's all built up and you're extra dirty, then it takes more work to get it all cleared out. So right now especially, it's important to get things to kind of like a neutral place and get yourself back into your own energy field, and get everything else out. And it might take a little more effort than normal. And so what I feel like taste, there's some good ones in there, but you really want to take a few minutes. And there's a reason why I start almost every meditation the same, where we go within to the earth and connect that energy and pull it back into our body, and then open above us and pull source energy in. And the reason we do that is because then we are grounded to the earth and we are connected to source energy and information in that way. And so it is that's takes a minute to do. And so I would suggest in the morning, in the evening, anytime during the day. It would be like washing your hands in between the shower. Like sometimes you still get a little dirty during the middle of the day and you got to clean up. So whenever you're really feeling that, you want to tune in, and you can really just imagine yourself in a bubble, and you want to be like pushing anything out that's not yours. And you can just say, I send any energy that is not mine and is not connected to my highest and best good away. Send it back to source for cleansing. It doesn't belong here. You can certainly use sage. You can use sound. You can, again, just use visualization. But you really want to get a feel for your own energy field. What does it feel like? And is there anything there? And you can just picture, are there things in your field that don't belong there? Is there a hook? Is there a tear? Is there a whole anchor attached to your leg? Like, what's going on? And practice kind of removing those and getting those out of your field. And then the next piece is to get your house clear. And that's why I have that guardian meditation. So again, on my YouTube channel, if you have not done it, the nice thing is it's almost a one and done. It's really close. But the reason I like working with these guardian spirits is that you can call them in. They like belong to your house and your property, and you give them instructions. What don't you want there? And what can they take care of without ever asking for your permission? And so like for me, I say, any earthbound spirits, they don't belong here. Just get rid of them. You don't need to ask my permission. You don't need to check in with me. Like, take them away. So all of, but you decide. That's your option. And so once they get to kind of get settled into your house, or not your house so much, but the space around your house, it takes about a day or two, and then things are calmed down. And if you have anything, some people have portals that are more low vibe, even in your neighborhood, even if it's not in your house or like in your front yard or something. And so it's difficult if you're doing these daily things where you feel like, I keep saging my house and then they come back, and I sage my house and they come back. That's because there's like an energy portal or something letting them in. So the guardians can help you, like put a lid on it, close it down, get things out of there. So so work through that meditation, do that. And those two things, once you kind of get within your own energy field and kind of your house, then at least you're only dealing with your energies. So Yvonne says, do apartments have guardian energy? Yes, you can call guardians to your apartment, and what they'll do is they'll stand on either side of your front door. So so yeah, you can position them even if you're in an apartment, and you can kind of just put your apartment in more of a bubble, especially if you've got people living underneath you and around you, to and really just say, you know, like, my space is my space, and nobody else's energy can creep in. So a couple of other things. I know I talk about how I use oils, but you know, it's because they work, and they work for your vibration and frequency. And what I want to share about this especially is that this is where we're going. When we're talking about this new earth and all these new energies, what we're going to feel more so than we already have is how much vibration and frequency is important to everything we do. Everything is going, it always did run on vibration and frequency. We're going to see it and be conscious of it so much more going forward. And so plants have a frequency, and they're all plant frequencies is higher than our own. So when you work with a plant, they shift your frequency. And so oils do that, and they do it really fast. So sometimes, like, yeah, I could sage my house and go through all this or whatever, or I could just wave some oils over my energy field. So it takes 2 seconds. These are my favorites. If you don't have anything else, if I can get this right, white angelica. This is a protection oil. So I put it in my hands, rub my hands together, and that's exactly what I do. I go over my energy field, under my feet, around my back. Actually, like, kind of imagine the angel wings, like, coming around like this and protecting me. And I will say, I am protected. My energy is protected as I'm doing all of this. So that's one to help kind of push other energies out. Releases other energies off of your body. So again, with the release, I put it in my hands, and then I shake my hands, and I say, any energy that's not for my highest and best good must return to source now. And actually, it's funny, I was demonstrating this on one of the videos for Earth Tenders Academy, and you can see when I shake my hands, an orb flies off my hands and off, like, visually can see it leave. So I knew that it worked because I could feel it work, but to actually see it on video was a real trip. So anytime, especially for any of you doing energy work, like, I'll use this after we're done talking today, because we're all, you know, intermingling with each other's energies. And so it just helps release any energy that wasn't yours. Then the other one, this is more like, I don't want to use the word emergency, but when your energy gets scrambled, these two are like perfect. Gathering in orange. I don't know if Tracy's on the call. She told me about this. I put a drop of each in my hand, because gathering, what it does is it calls back your energy. I don't know how they work, but they work really well together. I put a drop in my hands and rub it together and inhale, and I can literally feel my energy not just coming back, but like realigning, like straight in my body all the way down to my feet. So those are the ones I would say absolutely are really helpful that I'm using regularly right now. I also made a little roller. Can't really see my label. I put, I don't know, maybe like 5 drops of gratitude and 5 drops of joy, and then topped it with carrier oil. I've been rubbing this on my chest and then just like pausing and listing things that I'm grateful for every morning and every evening, because this new vibration, this vibration of love, it runs on gratitude, on love, but gratitude is in that same category. So, and again, you don't have to do it with an oil. You can just have a gratitude practice every day but this just helps shift my frequency into doing that. So, okay, let me catch up on a couple questions. Charlotte says, working on my personal energy field will check the guardian meditation. Felt and seen my aura changing, and that's becoming dynamic. Not sure if that's a descriptive word to use. Yeah, I know. It's hard to change. And so that is what's happening. Like, our energy fields are changing. Our light signatures are changing. You might look different to your, I don't know if you look at yourself when you're in meditation or when you're in a journey, but do that. Like, look down at your hands and look down at your feet if it's not something you normally do. If it is, like, I guarantee you look different right now than you used to. I do. And some of it is energy field. Sometimes I'm wearing different things. Sometimes I just look like a different being than myself. So we're changing completely. That's what's happening with this whole ascension process. And so in that, like, we have to get used to holding these new levels of light, levels of energy. And so any of the tools that we have to do that are really helpful to us. So I got permission from my friend Jessica with Claxon Healing, and I'll tag her here. I don't know if she's on right now either, to share a remedy that she shared with me. And so Jessica is trained as a homeopath, but she wanted me to also make clear that she's not a traditional homeopath, and she's not. She does a lot of intuitive work. And so she kind of blends the two together. So if you are having any kind of physical, emotional, spiritual, like, symptoms you feel like you need to see somebody for, I would highly suggest her, because she works directly, individually with you. And so the remedies are, again, vibrational. So this is where we're going, is really a lot of vibrational type medicine. So 2 weeks ago, I had a throat all day long. And I kept hearing it was throat chakra related, but I couldn't, like, nothing I was doing was helping. The oils definitely helped some, but I sent her a message and was like, I don't know what to do about this sore throat. And so what happens, and hopefully if she's here, she'll correct me if I get this wrong in the chat, but it's not specifically a remedy for a sore throat, let's say. It's for what energies are creating the sore throat. And so what she's finding right now is that, again, it's this energy of fear that's in the collective. And let me find her specific message so I explain it correctly. And grab a pen, because you're going to want to write this remedy down if you're interested, because it's really helped me quite a bit. Where do I have her note? Okay, so again, this may not work for everybody. It depends on what energies you are picking up and what energies you're feeling, but it's not to treat the virus, quote unquote. It is a remedy to help fear, anxiety, restlessness. And then she said even things like exposure to cold, dry wind or very hot weather and 1,000 other things, but it seems to be relevant for people feeling this collective energy of fear. And so when it's pervasive and it starts, like, seeping in, basically what you're going to do is you're going to write, and I'll put this in there. You're going to write this remedy on a piece of paper. I literally have it on a sticky note that I've carried around my house. Set it down, put a glass of water on top of it, and just let it sit. I mean, not even for very, very long. And I'm going to put this all in the chat. And then drink your water. The first time I did it, I got super lightheaded for like 15. I was like, oh, my sore throat's gone, but man, my head is like spinning. It's a powerful remedy. And this is a perfect example of how, like, we don't have to do so many complicated things. We can work with our energy to solve some of these things. And so I've kind of been carrying around, I'm not doing it like constantly, but anytime I'm like, I'm kind of feeling off today, then I go back to putting my glass of water on top of this. So I'm going to put this in the chat, and then I see some additional questions. So you're going to want to, and Okay, Jessica with Claxon. He is, let's see. There it is in the chat, the specifics. She is doing consultations on a donation basis right now, and she says you can message her any way you want. You can text her, you can send her a Facebook message. She will get on the phone with you, she'll just message you. Again, she is an intuitive healer, so she works with your energy to figure out what you specifically need, because this may not be what you need. That being said, if you don't have to know why you're feeling a certain way right now, but if you're having kind of a rough day, or you're not feeling well, or you're feeling off, try this remedy, and literally that's all you have to do. It's the vibration of the medicine is in this. Write it down. So hopefully that is helpful. So I wrote on the piece of paper I don't know if I can pronounce it right, Aconitum napellus 30C. So that's all that's written on the paper. So you can try that if you are feeling, I'm just holding it up here so everybody can see it, but I also put it in the chat. Yep, just write it. Literally, this is how I've been carrying it around my house. I wrote it on a Post-it note, and then wherever, like, hold on, I'll just set it down on a piece of a thing, and you just set your glass on top of it. And basically what you're doing is you're letting the vibration of the remedy infiltrate your beverage. And then when you drink your beverage or your water, you are taking that vibration of the remedy into your energy field. So try it and then let us know how it works. I will tell you, my sore throat went away like 5 minutes later. It worked really fast. So and some of these things, and she did give me permission to share this, so but again, send her a note. If you're having specific things that you want to talk about, or specific issues, then Jessica is who you want to message. So, okay, that's some of our like collective energy, personal vibration type of things. And yes, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. And thank you, Jessica, for letting me share that. She said she's been using it with a variety of people who have had success for it. So, Stacy, oils. On my website, I have, so followinghawks.com, I have a link to the oils. I've had multiple people say to me, you should make a Following Hawks starter kit. And so, because I know a lot of people already have like high quality individual oils, but want to work with some of these blends. So I need to do that. I need to make something. But there is on my website, I think I called it the DIY spiritual oils starter kit or something like that. Anyway, it's suggestions of like how you can, over 3 months time, kind of add these different kind of spiritual or energy working oils to your kit. But I'll try and put something together that's like, here's you, if you want to buy all my favorite ones, here they are on a list. So, okay, am I missing anything in the chat here? So, Stacy says she rubbed her body down with the Snowflake Obsidian Ball and it seriously moved energy. That's awesome. Yeah, definitely work with your crystals right now. I have, I keep it, actually, here's a selenite I just got. Selenite seems to be really like the thing right now. Everybody's telling me they're working with it too. Crystals like to have jobs. At least that's the ones around here tell me. They don't want to sit on your shelf. So if you've got crystals, like work with them. And you can ask, ooh, I'm like feeling it while I'm holding this. You can ask them if you're not sure, like, what does it do? You can hold it and sit and meditate and ask, like, how can I use you? And sometimes they'll say, oh, just set it here or set it here. Like, let them do things. So, yeah, mine get annoyed if I, like, don't take them out in the world. And some of them want to permanently live out in the world. They don't want to live in my office. So, work with your crystals. So, okay, I figured I'd be on here for an hour, but thanks for everybody hanging in here, trying to cover all your questions. Okay, lots of questions on the post yesterday about being able to receive your own information, getting a deeper connection, connecting with your guides. obviously this could be a whole nother thing, and maybe I'll work on something deeper for that over the next couple of weeks. But I did just want to talk a little bit about that, because that is also the case. Like, there's tons of information out there right now, but like, how do you get your own information? How do you and receive that? And I will say some of it is just practice. So some of it really is this practice of grounding your energy into the earth and opening. This is where the information is coming from. And it's a pillar of light. Like, I see it as like all that is, right? All is in the whole world. It's all up here. And I can open my crown chakra and it comes down in a pillar of light, and it goes all the way down through each of my chakras. And sometimes I'll imagine it like going down my hands and coming out. Practice doing that. You'll feel, you can just practice it while we're sitting here. Right? My hands are heating up. Like, you'll feel your hands warm up. You'll feel that. That's like that healing energy, like flowing through and out your body. So yeah, imagine it coming down each of your chakras, and it can go down if you want into the earth, and then back up into your body again. And what I do when I do that is I also imagine and specifically call in and ask my higher self to join. Come in through that, and I imagine, just use your visualization, imagination, myself coming into my body all the way. And then I just usually, oftentimes I do this just while I'm in the shower in the morning, and then I say, I'm open to receiving the highest guidance, or the guidance from my higher self all day today. And what you should know is that it's, number one, it's subtle, and number two, it doesn't always come in the moment. It comes throughout the day. So it's a matter of practicing, and not just practicing, but being open to the guidance, because then things are going to come to you in weird ways. You're going to hear a little phrase. You're going to see something on TV that catches your attention. You're going to read something in a book that catches your attention. It's going to come to you in all different ways. So don't discount those other ways that they come to you. That is your higher self. That is your, your guides. That is all of those things sending you messages. And we talked about this on the little training that I did a little bit on Monday, is also like, keep a notebook. And again, here's my notebook, like, of all the stuff that comes through to me. Because when you start putting the little pieces together, you realize, like, oh, last week I got that message, and then I saw this happen today. They were trying to help me. They were trying to, or my higher self was sending me that message and I ignored it. Or I took action on it. And that's the other thing, really. I think there's the two pieces. There's receiving the information and taking action on it. And sometimes it's too much. There's too many things to take action on. You kind of have to pick and choose. But I find that the more we're able to take action, even in small ways, the more will come to you, because it's like they see you, like, oh, you hear me, I'm going to give you more. And so it really is, again, creating a relationship in that way and receiving information. So for those of you who are asking about why is it quiet right now, I did talk a little bit about that at the beginning. If you're not receiving things, like, that could be, it really is like, now is a time to be quiet, to go within, and it might just be time to rest. That's it. I certainly have seen other light workers sharing messages that that's what they're getting. Like, the spirits, on the other dimension, like, they've got it right now. They're doing it. So, and we all get messages at different times and in different ways. I will have, longer periods of time where I'm like, it just seems like nothing's happening right now. And then all of a sudden I'll get like a huge download one day. So, don't worry if it's not coming. And I kind of laugh at myself sometimes when all of a sudden, like, a whole bunch of things will happen at once, and I'll be like, oh, and I was worrying that nothing was happening. It wasn't very interesting. So just, again, get accustomed to kind of receiving and listening to those messages, those subtle messages that come in. And, when you just get an idea about something, or kind of feel like I should call that person, or I should read that book, or I should do like that. That's it. That's the messages coming through. So yeah, like I said, maybe I'll work on something so we can, do some practicing on that, because that's really a matter of what it is in that way. So, um, Merlin, I saw two comments about Merlin. I don't work with Merlin a whole lot, but I have had him come to me in meditations a handful of times, but it's been a few years, and I really couldn't remember any details. And I was like, I don't know, I don't think I can be helpful about Merlin. And then this morning while I was meditating, they told me, go get the Lost Lands book. So, wouldn't you know, I even found the Merlin stuff and marked it. If you're interested in working with Merlin, I'm sure there's other resources too, but this is what they told me this morning. This book called The Lost Lands. Especially, and if you're just interested in general about or feel connected to Lemuria, Atlantis, or Avalon, this book is in those three sections. But for those of you who are interested in Merlin, I'll read a couple of sections out of it that might be helpful, so you don't have to wait till you can order books again or wait for a book to get delivered to your house. But it says, Merlin is a being who can be worked with when you need guidance and wise counsel about how to walk between two worlds. Questions such as, how can I be simultaneously successful and spiritual? How do I remain a true leader and yet rule with compassion? How do I choose a partner who allows me to be myself, but whom I can feel the oneness of true love? Be gentle and powerful. These important and seemingly paradoxical considerations are the domain of Merlin, who will assist you in reconciling seeming opposites. So that was the first kind of tip about working with Merlin. And then, oh yeah, everybody's like, I need this book. That's right, Jackie. I knew somebody in Earth Tenders Academy was working with Merlin as well. Let's see. They say, he is a master of teaching us how to use our psychic gifts and our powers of divination, but also he helps us through the times of transition. As we move into a new world, he is with us again, guiding our way. So that would make sense why he's coming to lots of people at the moment, like helping us through this transition time. Merlin can help you with this transition, which can increase your sensitivity. If you feel bombarded or overwhelmed with messages, as the veil between worlds thin, respectfully ask him to make them simpler, clearer, and to turn them down a notch. It's hard for those on the etheric plane to work with us unless we are absolutely clear. Also be ready for beautifully clear communications with the plant kingdom after connecting with Merlin. As I'm reading this, I'm remembering a little bit more about working with him in that way. And we did talk about this again in the training earlier this week, about that spirits on another plane haven't always been human. And so they don't always understand like how to communicate with us. And so sometimes it'll be drinking from a fire hose. Sometimes it'll be little words or phrases or pictures that don't mean anything, or you can't string them together. And so you can specifically ask, like, I'm not getting that. Can you give it to me in another way? And so apparently Merlin helps with that. So that's awesome. And then the last little section is that it says, the location of a connection can have a powerful impact on our interaction with all sacred beings, but this truism seems even more so with Merlin. I've found it's often best to communicate with Merlin out of doors in beautiful natural surroundings or in an energetically soothing place with soft light, peaceful music, and crystals. One of the most powerful geographic locations to call on is the Great Wizard in... Oh, I'm saying that wrong. One of the most powerful geographical locations to call on the Great Wizard is in Merlin's Cave, at the base of Tintagel Castle, Arthur's birthplace, and Morgan's home in Cornwall. So there you go. That's what I've got on Merlin, and it makes sense. Obviously, so many of us are working with the Earth, that he would be an ally. So check out this book if you're interested in, well, any of these topics, but there's that little bit. In fact, I flipped to the back because I thought maybe there was a glossary. I was going to just look up Merlin, and I don't even remember this. This happens to me all the time with books. I find it later. Can you see that? It says, ways to work like an Atlantean priestess, and then it has like different suggestions on how to do that. So there's all kinds of cool stuff in this book, so go check it out if it feels like it's calling to you. And then the last thing on here, and then if there's any other questions I've missed or you guys want to pop into the chat, I can answer them since we're in an hour now. But there were some questions about really like, how do we dream this new world? How does this new earth happen? And, you know, it really is, again, like I said at the beginning, it's a combination of shifting our own vibration and also holding the vision. So, and you absolutely can ask your own guides or your own, you know, the spirits where you live, like, how can I help specifically? But this is a big global project and really a big galactic project. And so one of the most specific things that I do is actually, again, just using my visualization, pulling myself outside, you know, of the earth in space and really getting my heart energy moving, just feeling it spinning, really feeling into that heart energy. And then projecting that heart energy to the earth, into the grids, into the people, into the earth, but really just sharing that love vibration. So funny that was the card. Of course, that was the card we pulled. But sharing that love vibration with the earth as it is ascending, and with all of us who are here on it as we are also ascending. So again, I can probably work on something that can help us practice and go into that deeper, but that is the short version. Is use that love vibration, use all that love in your heart, and really share it with yourself, share it with your neighbors, share it with your community, and with the whole earth. So, did I get through everything on my notes? That was a lot. You guys had great questions. So I'll hang out and see if you guys have more questions. Oh, I did just want to say one thing that I realized I didn't say. Just when we're talking about general readings, looking into the future, asking questions like that oftentimes the reason that's difficult is because from an intuitive level, what we're doing is we're feeling into the energy of the now moment, because really, instead of time, you know, being linear, really like everything's happening at once. And so when you're asking something like, am I going to have my job next month? Like, we're feeling into the current exact moment of now energy as to whether or not that's a possibility. But there are many timelines that could be chosen, and everybody involved in a certain scenario has their own free will to choose. And when they make a different choice, suddenly you're now on a different timeline, and the now moment might read differently. So it's kind of a roundabout way of saying, like, it's hard to, you can't just tell the future, much as we'd all like to. It's really reading the energy. And even, you know, sometimes the spirits are really doing kind of the same thing. Like, when you ask them a question, they're reading into like, well, as of now, this is what's going to happen, but now could change. So could be different tomorrow. But yeah, I do my best. So you're welcome, Ari. And Jackie says, I love listening to music that resonates with me when I send out the heart healing. Helps me visualize and give the energy boost. That's a really good idea. Yeah, that's a great way. So if you're listening to music, then you can kind of like ride the vibration of the music with your energy and send it out. Music is so healing. We didn't even talk about sound healing, but yeah, music is incredibly healing. And back when we were talking about the water and the remedy, one of the things that came through to me recently is about how like fresh live water is still full of its sacred geometry that's inherent in water. Once you run it through pipes and filters and everything else, it really loses that quality. And so, I mean, some of it's still there, but it gets broken down some. So when you're putting, no, I lost my note, but when you're, you know, you're putting your note, like there's a vibration and a frequency, you know, with a remedy, and then you've got the vibration and the sacred geometry of the water, and they're kind of like intermingling to make a new thing. And you know, that's really what's happening with a lot of these things as well. And so music can do that same thing. Like music is organizing in this like sacred geometry, and then it interacts with our energy field and our sacred geometry. It interacts with the earth. It interacts, you know, really with everything. So yeah, thank you for that reminder. It's very powerful. All right. Ari says, can I pull another card? Sure, why not? Let's see what the cards say. And thanks everybody who came. I know there's probably people who've been hopping on and off while we've been here, but if you're dying to know what the cards say, hang around. If not, good to see you. Thanks for being here. All right, do you want me to ask a specific question? I'll just shuffle while I see if you have a question. Kathy says, I listen to a lot of Vedic chanting, especially now. Those are all in Sanskrit, which are the sounds of creation, as it turns out. Yes, the ancient Vedic seers cognize these sounds. It's powerful. You can find them on YouTube. Yes, yes, very true. The Vedic chanting, I actually was playing solfeggio frequencies the other day while I was just getting ready, just kind of like helping keep my vibe. So in a good spot. Janice says, I get water from a natural spring because it tastes lovely. And now I know it's live and very live untreated water. Exactly. Yeah, you're getting that sacred geometry of that water into your cells. Okay, well, I'm going to ask it to give us whatever message we need to wrap up with. They say cut the deck. Pride. Looks like, oh, it's not a daylily, it's an amaryllis. An amaryllis and a gaudy commodore butterfly. Oh, I'll get there. Ari says, no, she doesn't have a question. She just wants to know what the cards have to say. Oh yeah, feathers. I have lots of feathers. Come back to that. All right, let's see what pride has to say. Okay, originating in South America and parts of Mexico, Amaryllis made its way to Europe in the 16th century. Breeding got off to a fiery start in England in 1799 when some of the first hybrids were lost in a greenhouse fire. Ooh, literally fiery. Luckily, the cultivator had shared his work with the Liverpool Botanic Garden, thus preserving the domestic strains. Cultivation continued, and there are now over 600 hybrids. Hibiscum is generally grown as an ornamental potted plant. When kept indoors, they often bloom throughout the winter, making this a popular Christmas flower. That's part of the message for sure. We're being kept indoors right now, but we bloom through the winter. Taking pride in one's journey is an integral part of self-growth. Attach positive feelings to what you're doing, whatever it may be. When you feel good about something, you'll want to do it better. Doing a job well will lead you to taking more pleasure in what you do and who you are. Even when you don't like what you're doing it well can bring you pride. This card is also a reminder to delight in what you have already accomplished. Enjoy and celebrate your victories. Share them with someone who will be proud and excited with you. Do whatever you do to the best of your abilities and as the finest of who you are. When you know you did your best, pride will follow. So the questions are, what do I take pride in? And how can I cultivate more pride in what I'm doing now? I will sit for a moment, see if anything comes in. I see more questions coming in. Rebecca, yes, I already talked about Merlin. Sorry, as soon as this is done, you'll be able to maybe go back 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's almost to the end. Okay. it's really coming through is really the message about we all have unique jobs, purposes, passions, projects that we are a part of, and that ours is not like anybody else's. And so oftentimes it's easy for us to compare what someone else is doing, what message someone else is getting, what they're doing, what you're not doing, what you should be doing, what you want to be doing. And so they're saying take pride in the job, in your job, because each of our jobs is so needed and so important to bring forward that we shouldn't minimize it or feel like our job isn't as important as somebody else's job. It absolutely is, and all of us are needed in order to make this shift and to go to the next place. And so, again, if regardless of what you're getting, if your job right now is to rest, then that is just as important as any other job you may see. And certainly, I have a hard time with this sometimes too, feeling like, am I doing enough? Am I doing what I should be doing? Am I getting the message right? Am I sharing the message right? So this is just reminding us that all of our jobs are perfect and we should take pride in our work, whatever it is. Right now, your job may be to care for your family more than absolutely anything else. And so whatever that is, we should do that. So I see that we're at 1 minute 11 seconds, or 1 hour 11 minutes, 1:11. So now's the perfect time to end. So I will try and get on more in the future and chat more. And I hope you all have a lovely weekend. And I'll see you soon.